Okay, today we're going to break down one of the most just confusing and frustrating things you can go through in a relationship. You know the one, that hot and cold pattern, where one minute someone pulls you in super close and the next they push you away, and you're just left standing there wondering, wait, what just happened? So let's get into why this happens, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it.
I mean, have you ever felt that? Adored one minute, totally ignored the next? One day you feel like you are the absolute center of their universe, and then bam, the next day you might as well be a complete stranger. That emotional whiplash, that's what we're talking about. And believe me, there's a really powerful psychology behind why it feels so compelling, but at the same time, just so painful.
All right, first things first, let's really nail down what this confusing push and pull even is. Because before we can get into the why, we gotta be super clear on the what. What does this frustrating pattern actually look like?
Okay, so here's the core of it. We're talking about someone who shows this intense interest in you one moment, and then out of nowhere, they just become distant, unavailable, emotionally checked out. And the key word here is inconsistency. This isn't just someone having an off day, It's a pattern. Intense connection, then sudden, unexplained withdrawal. And that unpredictability, well, that's exactly what makes it so confusing, and, as we're about to find out, so incredibly addictive.
So, why? Why is this so incredibly hard to walk away from? It feels like it should be easy, right? But it's not just some emotional puzzle. There is actual science behind this craving. So let's dive into the powerful psychological hook that keeps you coming back for more, even when every part of you knows you probably shouldn't.
And here it is, the big one. Intermittent reinforcement. It sounds kind of technical, but stick with me, it's actually simple. It's just a fancy way of saying we get a reward, but at totally irregular, unpredictable times. And this is what makes a behavior stick. I mean, think about a slot machine. You pull that lever over and over because you never know when the jackpot is coming. It could be the next pull. Your brain gets totally hooked on that chase for the reward, whether that reward is a casino win or, in this case, a moment of affection.
And this really breaks it down, right? On one side, you have consistent affection. It feels nice, it's stable, but it's expected. Our brains adapt to it pretty quickly. But then you look at unpredictable affection. That doesn't feel stable. It creates a craving for the reward. Your brain never gets a chance to adapt. It just keeps chasing that high. One is emotionally stable, the other is emotionally addictive. Big difference.
And this just nails it. It's the exact same psychological pattern you see in gambling addiction. It's the uncertainty that cranks up emotional dependency. You keep putting in another coin, you keep sending another text because you're hoping this will be the time you get the payoff. It's a powerful hook.
And there's actually a chemical reaction happening in your brain during all this. During that hot phase when they're giving you all that attention, your brain gets this massive flood of dopamine. The pleasure and reward hormone. It feels fantastic. But then, when they go cold, that dopamine tap gets shut off, and your brain goes into a literal state of withdrawal. The result? These insane emotional highs and lows that can trick you into thinking the connection is super deep, when really, it's just super unstable.
So, what's often going on underneath the surface here? Well, a lot of the time, this whole dynamic is fueled by two very different attachment styles clashing. On one hand, you might have someone with an anxious attachment style. They crave closeness, they're terrified of being abandoned, so they pursue connection. But on the other hand, you have someone with an avoidant attachment style. They fear intimacy, so when things start to get real, what do? They pull away.
And what do you think happens when those two get together? You guessed it, the perfect storm for a push-pull cycle. The anxious person chases to feel secure, but that chase triggers the avoidant person's fear of getting too close, so they withdraw. And of course, that withdrawal just makes the anxious person's fear of abandonment even worse, so they chase harder. And round we go.
Okay, but let's be real. This isn't just some interesting psychological puzzle to solve. There is a very real, very painful emotional toll that comes with this. If you've been on the receiving end of this, you know. It's not just confusing. It can be deeply damaging. I mean, look at these hidden costs. You're living with constant anxiety. You're overthinking every single interaction, every text, every look. It slowly chips away at your self-worth until you're just emotionally exhausted. And here's the absolute worst part. You start questioning yourself. You start to think, what did I do wrong? Instead of seeing the toxic pattern for what it is.
And we have to talk about this, too.
Sometimes it's not some unconscious thing rooted in their childhood fears. Sometimes it's about control. It can be a calculated, deliberate strategy to keep you off balance, to keep you guessing, and to keep you desperately invested in them. It can be a power play.
Okay, so knowing all of that, how do you break the cycle? How do you get your peace back and step out of this chaos? Well, that's what we're going to cover right now. This is about real, actionable steps you can take to protect yourself. All right, here's your game plan. Step 1. Start valuing consistency way more than you value intensity. That roller coaster might feel exciting, but stable feels safe. Step 2. Set some clear, non-negotiable boundaries. Step 3, and this is a big one, don't reward their inconsistency with your attention. When they pull away, you don't chase. That just teaches them that the pattern works. And finally, step 4, you have to be willing to walk away from confusion. You deserve clarity.
And this is really the bottom line, isn't it? Healthy love feels stable. It doesn't feel unpredictable. You want a connection that feels like a safe harbor, not a stormy sea you're constantly trying to navigate. Sure, stability might not have those crazy, frantic highs, but it's where real, genuine, lasting love is actually built.
And let's get one thing crystal clear. That hot and cold behavior is not passion. I know, it's so easy to mistake that emotional roller coaster for some deep, intense connection, but it's not. It's instability, disguised as connection. It's a cheap imitation that's missing the most important ingredient of all, safety.
So if you take anything away from this, let it be this. Real love doesn't leave you guessing. It just doesn't. It doesn't make you sit there questioning your own worth or rereading text messages trying to figure out what they really mean. It doesn't just vanish and then pop back up like nothing happened. It stays.